At one point, they had a spy infiltrate our event and took pictures, announced that they were putting them on social media to expose and put on blast to include children. Yet they claim to protect children. With Our Savior's Lutheran Church surrounded, driveways blocked, and Proud Boys and other LGBTQ followers, it was chaotic and made access property parking and public streets inaccessible. Many agitators yelled out we were child molesters, child groomers, perverts, and faggots, and much more I'd care not to repeat. This went on battering us for 4 hours straight. Two of my fellow entertainers were face-to-face with an agitator that was escorted by a female police officer, only to be harassed and bullied by the agitator. Two of my fellow entertainers were followed to their hotel rooms, their license plate pictured, and their private information and employment were spread to the anti-LGBT individuals. I'm here to say that collectively we will not go away, nor will this proud trans woman be silent. Thank you.
Next speaker is going to be Isabel Ramos.
My name is Isabel Ramos, and I am the founder of Fresno's Drag Festival. Before I get into why I created this family-friendly event, I'd like to address Mr. Butterfield. Sir, can you tell me the definition of power? I'm sure you can, but I'll go ahead and provide that definition anyways. It's the ability to direct or influence another's behavior or course of events. You could have written a statement of love and compassion about Saturday's event. You chose not to. Instead, your post was one filled with anger, hate, and disgust, which altered the course of what happened that day. That's power. Sitting in that seat, you have power. Your post about Saturday's festival was not ignorance. You knew exactly what you wrote, and I quote, "Children should not be exposed to these sexualized situations, whether it be drag queens, men dressed provocatively as women, or female strippers. This kind of crap being presented to children as some kind of wholesome entertainment must end. We must protect our children. This is disgraceful, and we must all be united in opposing it." What you wrote tells me that you wanted the Proud Boy gang to show up. You encouraged people like Fulford to continue fueling the fire. You wanted people to do what you wanted without getting your hands dirty. This very mentality stems from the oppressive political and religious structures of the Renaissance. Kings and priests with absolute power ruling masses who have none. And that seems to be the mentality our society continues to struggle with today. And that includes you, a city councilman. The words you wrote go against the oath you took upon taking office. As councilman, you are to be free from conflict of interest. As the rest of the council can clearly see, your post is in violation of just that. I created Fresno's Drag Festival for our LGBTQ youth. Research clearly shows that LGBTQ youth who reported high levels of trauma symptoms had more than 3 times greater odds of attempting suicide. The increased risk is due to poor societal treatment. Your agenda is to push the love of Jesus, but are doing so in the most hateful way. It's clearly not working. Someone needed to create a safe space for these kids. Not every child struggling with their identity has a loving home, as you and your followers have clearly demonstrated, to be able to express who they are. I'd rather stand by my daughter and be supportive of who she is than take flowers to a grave and not be able to hug her again. She is the reason I created this event, as I am sure she's not the only child looking for inclusive, safe, and entertaining spaces. You think by spewing hate you're taking this away? It's just the opposite. Not only did it unite us all, but the community can now see there are allies like myself that are ready to stand with them with love and acceptance.
Next speaker is Zane Anthony.
Thank you for having me today. My name is Zane Anthony, he, him, his pronouns. I am a representative of the LGBT, trans, and gender expansive community here in Fresno and all around. I do work with school districts and the youth as well. I'm heavily involved in the drag community. It actually paved my way for my transition early on. I knew how I felt as a child, and it wasn't due to outside environmental factors such as, actually I'm not going to name them right now. I just want to talk about the importance of the youth and us being wrongfully identified, particularly by Councilmember Bredfield. I was also on one of the threads that was presented before me. I did want to thank Councilmember Butterfield for actually signing our Transgender Day of Remembrance proclamation. It really signified a huge step in progress for our community, which we thought, but you don't fully back us up, and it's unfortunate. We're not fully supported by you, and we are thankful for who we are supported by. Thankfully, it's a majority who helps keep our community going, and I congratulate Councilmember Perea. Thank you for serving us as well. So I just wanted to repeat that we are not sexualizing children. We're actually helping them. The statistics are there. I'm sure you can do your own research. We help prevent suicide. We help, not only in our community, but others around us. I believe that we are here for the children. We don't need to lure them in. We're definitely not pedophiles. We do promote family-friendly events such as the zoo and community drag shows at a church. It is a safe, inclusive space, and the church actually accepts everybody, not just cisgender straight people. We're just tired of being threatened, harassed, and wrongfully identified, and we just hope that we can have more support from our law enforcement and everybody who is in power to do so. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker is going to be Alicia.
Morning, City Council. Here we are again, and by again, I mean for this same kind of hatred. I volunteered at this past Saturday's drag festival event, and I observed events leading up to it, and I saw inaction, action, and irresponsibility that puts our community at risk yet again. Frankly, I'm tired of seeing it, so I'm just going to speak plainly today. We witnessed a lot of these same patterns fighting for the community in recent years. I mean, I think that's a long enough time to learn in the Tower District. And I wasn't particularly surprised at the events on Saturday, unfortunately, but I was disgusted. Besides what we saw the performers endure in terms of hate speech and the volunteers on the front line just trying to make sure children and families were safe, I saw a lot of traversements of law and order, including, and in references to penal code, I'll reference California, obviously, Penal Code Section 415, Penal Code Section 602, Fresno Municipal Code Section 10-107, Fresno PD Policy, which I think you should know, 338 regarding hate crime. I encourage you to read it over closely. Also, Penal Code Section 653.2. I'd encourage you to read that one as well, because I pointed that out to Deputy Chief Reed last year in 2021. Was supposed to get some answer back regarding that. Nothing. Penal Code Section 422, Penal Code Section 602, subparts K and M regarding trespassing, and probably more. But the second these antagonist gang members started breaking the law, this is not a protest. So let's emphasize that this was not a protest. This was an attempt by a group of antagonists to shut down, as they described it, an event on private property at a church. And there are laws against this. If 20 bulldogs showed up in colors, brandishing tactical gear, inciting violence at a North Side church, claiming because they thought Santa was creepy, you know how ridiculous this sounds, Butterfield? The question isn't if you would shut that down, the question is how fast. I grew up in Southeast Fresno, so we're going to save the pretense that it wouldn't. This isn't a good look, especially after you guys fired a Proud Boy Sons of 76 cop and did absolutely nothing after that to address the systemic issues of white supremacy in the force. We're still waiting, and we will pursue it. And regarding dog whistles, it's already mentioned the disgusting dog whistle that Butterfield put out to the community and his followers and did nothing to quell the hateful and threats of physical harm on his own thread and elsewhere. You're a council member. You represent yourself that way on social media. You did nothing to denounce that. So I sure hope that this isn't something that keeps occurring. We're not asking